Be strong.
Mark, welcome, Mark Harvey, to our podcast, our weekly podcast, which is getting going now. It's a bit of a cabbie, this is your life.
Oh dear.
So, me and Mark go back a fair way. We did the knowledge together. I was quicker than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know.
But I gave you the...
That's normal.
I gave you the push you needed.
You did. Yeah, we gave each other a push. That's what it's all
think
about. First of all, where are you from, Mark? Tell us a little bit of background, where you're from, where you grew up.
I am born and bred in Harlow, or as
Nice.
my wife likes to say, Old Harlow, because it's the posher bit.
Oh, nice.
And then up until, very long story short, I ended up buying that. My mum emigrated to Cyprus. So I ended up buying the house off my mum when she went to Cyprus. So I lived in the house I grew up in.
Wow.
Up until 6 years ago, when I was told that we were moving to a new build up the road in a place called Newhall, which is, if you're posh or think you're posh, you say it's just outside Harlow, but it's still Harlow.
So all you Essex people or people who live in Harlow, that resonates with you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
So pushing on a little bit further, what was your career? What did you do before you was
I've always
a taxi
been
driver?
I've always been driving. I was a van driver in London in the 90s, like not courier, but sort of delivering to banks and stuff in town, in the city and the West End. I enjoyed that. I then became a transport manager at the same company, and then that went a bit wrong. And I was a chauffeur, basically airport runs to and from Harlow with a bit of London. And then I joined a large, very large courier company.
You can say who they are. We're not.
Well, they're FedEx,
Yeah.
who were okay, and then they became not very nice to work for.
So you got fed up.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with
Fed up with FedEx.
Yeah, well put.
Yeah.
And I just, it was hard. It was 13-hour days, 4:30 till 5:30, without a break.
Oh.
No holidays unless you could cover the run, which was harder. And then my mum died out in Cyprus, and I wanted to go to the funeral, and they weren't going to let me have the day off.
Unbelievable.
And I kicked a bit of a stink up and went, but that was the sort of straw that broke the camel's back. That's when I thought, no, I've got to change.
Yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah.
And so who inspired? Was there a person or a thing that happened? Or
It's always been rattling about in my head for years and years and years. And it was my mother-in-law who said, why don't you, you'd make a good cab driver. Why don't you do it? And I'd kind
why
of...
did she think you'd make a good cab driver?
I don't know. But I think... And I kind of got sucked into the whole game is dead thing.
Yeah.
And didn't bother. And then one day, I was really seriously thinking about it, and I bumped into a courier from another company in Woodford. I'll never forget it. And he come up to me and said, Mark, this is my last day. I'm leaving. I said, oh, what are you doing? He said, I'm being a tube driver. And I said, wow, that takes like 4 or 5 years. He said, yeah, I've been doing it on the quiet.
Right. Does it take 4 or 5 years to be a tube driver?
I think it does, yeah.
Okay.
So I said to him, I'm thinking about doing the knowledge. And he said, well, do it.
Yeah.
And I went home that day, and my next door neighbour come out on a moped with a clipboard, and I stopped him and said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I've started doing the knowledge.
And what year was that? Remember?
13, I think.
Right.
No. I've been 12 years ago, 2011.
Right.
So
Yeah, same year as me.
I said to him, what are you doing the knowledge? He said, yeah, I started last weekend. I said, are you looking for a partner? He went, yeah. So these were both in the same day, and I thought,
wow,
that's like a sign.
Yes, a sign, yeah.
And there you go.
Wow.
The rest is history.
Wow. And who was your favourite examiner and why?
Whitehead.
Right. Why was that?
I thought he was fair.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a story that goes with it towards the end. I just thought he was fair. He wasn't easy, but if you went a little bit off track, he was pretty good. Harvey was quite good as well, because if you didn't know anything but told him where you wanted to go but didn't know it, he let you go.
Yeah.
But I liked Whitehead, and he kind of... There was a couple of moments during my appearances that involved him that,
Yeah.
that helped me out.
Yeah. And what were they?
Well,
Give us some.
I was near the end, and as everybody knows, they don't converse with you.
Not so much.
And,
They can if they want to, I suppose.
Yeah, but well, in my experience, they never did.
Mm.
And he'd asked me the Horniman Museum one day, but in his South London, he called it the Ornament, and I didn't hear him right.
Yeah.
And I dropped the point, and then it wasn't until the next appearance that I asked him, and he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, blah blah blah," and then he just said, "What do you?" Just before an appearance, he asked me what I did for a living, so I told him about the courier, and he said, "Oh, have you got the day off?" I said, "No, my van is in Woodford. I have to park up, put my suit on in the back, come up here for an appearance, go back, carry on my day till about 8 o'clock."
I remember this, yeah.
And it blew his mind.
Yeah.
And he just went, "You must really want this." And I went, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah.
And I was 2-1. Oh no, I was 1-0 on 21s, and I passed. I scored, so I got the 20. I got the 2-1.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Good luck," blah blah blah. And I just felt a massive sea change in something.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, "I think I got this."
Yeah.
And explained to her why.
Yeah.
And he couldn't believe that I was doing all the things I was doing.
Yeah.
And
No, I remember it clearly because you somehow fit. I mean, I made a joke at the start that I'd done it quicker than you, but I had a easier way of doing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't so committed to a job. I had my own business, so I already had my own lifestyle as such. You had to be in that courier van 12 hours a day and do the knowledge on top of it at weekend. So you was working 5 days a week, sometimes
I was
6.
working 5.5 days a week. So I was starting at 4:30 in the morning, finishing at 5:30, and then literally walking straight across to my neighbour, doing calling in his shed, or he would come to me and we'd do it in the back room.
Yeah.
For 3 hours a night. But obviously, I don't know, I'm not making excuses, but it weren't sticking quite as well because I'd just done a 13-hour shift.
And not only that, you're not getting into London enough.
No,
because you don't live in London.
No, so what I would do, I would leave Harlow at 5 o'clock a.m. Saturday and Sunday in my van, drive round in the van. I did it early for that reason because I didn't want to trundle up the A11 on a moped.
Yeah.
So I'd get in about, depending on where, but I'd get in sort of 5:45, 6 o'clock, start doing the runs and the points, come out about 9, and I was running the football team as well then, so the boys' team. So it was all, in hindsight, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot.
But there you go.
You did it.
Yeah, I did it.
And it took you, 6 years, wasn't it?
5. Just short of 5.
Really, that's just remarkable for the time that you had to do it. I mean, that should be an inspiration to anyone that's doing it part-time, because I speak to a lot of guys that come out and are doing the knowledge now. They're doing it part-time. I spoke to a guy on one of the knowledge groups the other day, and he's doing a similar kind of thing. And I said to him, it will be much more satisfying when you finish because of how you've done it. You haven't been given 3 years break, because some people are retired, some people are redundant, some people can do it because they've got part-time jobs or they have some money.
It's always that classic
it's
thing,
so difficult.
People get made redundant and the first thing they say is, "I'm going to do the knowledge."
And
half of them do it and half of them think, "Oh, sod that."
Exactly. And so, you know, to do it in under 5 years is brilliant, really. I mean,
and you helped me out a lot.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. Because my call-over partner passed out and then didn't want to call over. I had like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to call with me anymore.
Yeah, of course, because he's
done.
It's his journey. It's over, isn't it? Yeah.
And I remember I didn't have a call-over partner from sort of 28s to 21s, and I did a lot of it on my own, but you was doing it FaceTime with me.
That's right, I was.
Which was...
Yeah, that's when we first started using it.
Yeah. And that was really helpful. Really helpful. And then
or was it Zoom? No, it wouldn't have been Zoom.
No, it wasn't Zoom. It was literally old school iPad.
Yeah.
I don't even think we was FaceTime, and it might have even just been
on the phone, wasn't it?
Literally on the phone.
Yeah.
It was something along. It was basic.
Because we met at the Call Over Club in Wormley, wasn't it?
Right.
And that wasn't really easy for either of us to get to. So that would have been the only way to help.
Yeah. And you'd moved on. You'd moved on to the knowledge school, wherever that was, Paddington Way.
Yes.
So it was you was down there. I was obviously in Harlow, but you gave me only once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Well, but it was priceless.
Yeah.
And then I found another call.
Didn't remember that, to be honest.
No, I do.
It's been so long ago now.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
That's why I pay the prices I do for the cab.
All right. Well, talking about cabs, so what has been your best job? So we've moved on from the knowledge now. You passed the knowledge in 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in 15, you was in 16. So I was right at the end of 15, you was in the middle of, you was in June 16. And I know for a fact you absolutely love this job. Like, I don't know many people who are as enthusiastic as Mark about this job, because Mark talks to his customers all the time, and that is a key to this job. If you talk to your customers, they get a better service and you get a better day. Your day goes quicker.
Yeah.
You meet great people. You talk to them. You talk to loads of people. You've got regular customers. But what's been your best job that you've done? Not most lucrative. Don't worry about how much it cost, or it doesn't have to be a famous person. It can be just a job that you've done that you've got something out of that you really enjoyed.
There's two that immediately spring to mind. One famous person was Cat Stevens.
Right.
Hailed me.
Good Greek guy.
Yeah. Hailed me, got in a cab, didn't tell me who he was. I didn't really recognise him, and then he started saying how he had a music career, a music business in Dubai, and I kind of doubled.
Okay.
And then I kind of worked out who he was, and I started leaning the conversation his way and saying to him, "Didn't you grow up in Covent Garden?" And he's like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, "Because I know who you are." And he was like, "Oh," and he was just the nicest guy.
Yeah.
The nicest guy.
Yeah.
And another one that sticks was a guy come out of Marylebone Station, older gentleman, very well-to-do, very posh, needed to go to High Wycombe.
Nice.
Lovely.
Trains were down then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm an accountant. And I just thought, oh, no, this is going to be like the
so
longest.
Always a High Wycombe with an accountant.
Yeah.
Oh,
but this guy was off the scale.
Was he, yeah?
He'd sold Gala Bingo.
No way.
So not only was he an accountant, but his best mate was Barry Hearn.
Right.
And we just had an hour and a half of laughing and stories.
Yeah.
To the point where we got to High Wycombe Station and we sat in the car for another 20 minutes just chatting.
I love that. I had that with William Gallas, footballer.
Yeah.
He stayed in the car talking about football for another 15 minutes.
And I had it with Russell Brand as well.
Yeah. Oh, you had it with Russell Brand?
Yeah, he was good.
I know he loves cabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He couldn't be as more supportive than and he was all out. I mean, this was years ago.
Yeah.
But this guy, and then 3 months later, I picked his daughter up.
Who, Cat Stevens?
No, the accountant to High Wycombe.
Oh, what, to do the same job?
No, we got chatting about something, and I think she asked a similar sort of question, and I told her the story, and she went, "That's my dad."
No.
Straight up. And I said, "No." She said, "Yeah, that's my dad, long, da-da-da-da." And I went, "Yeah." So I was telling him I said hello. She goes, "I will."
So you've told me quite a lot of stories, because we catch up quite a lot, but I never knew this one.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Don't know whether that answers the next one, and it might do, and I might... So if I said to you, who's your best passenger, would that be the same question?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I can't really... There's so many, do you know what I mean, that they get out, and it's not always, it's very rarely the famous person, is it? It's normally just the Joe Public.
Well, that's why I come out this question, because my best ride wasn't with a famous person. Like, if I was asked these questions, I'd have a different story, but a lot of people, when you ask cab drivers what your best ride was, they'll come out with someone famous.
No.
You know, but famous people ain't always fun. And
Rarely.
You know.
I've been quite lucky with the ones I picked up, but...
Yeah.
I would say that is probably my favourite job. The fact that it was probably 6 years ago, and I can still kind of remember it and tell it. And
yeah,
I think the fact that I thought this guy was going to be hard work.
Yeah. When he said, and the fact that you ask people what they do. I mean, some people just don't want to talk, do they? They just like sit there with as soon as they're drops,
I always
go in
say,
the phone.
Yeah. I always say, "How are you?"
Yeah.
And if they go, "Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?" then you pretty much know it's going to be a turn and fro.
Yeah.
If they go fine and look at their phone, and then I might say, "Have you had a good day?" and they go, "Yeah," and they look at their phone, that's it.
Yeah.
Speaker off, radio on.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, obviously a lot of knowledge people watch this channel, and I would say always try to engage with your customer, because they're paying the meter. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've had people get in the cab who've said to me, "Oh, I had a cab driver last week. He didn't say a word to us." And you go, well, it's almost, in some respects, it's kind of expected. Not everyone. You know, your day-to-day commuter, sometimes he doesn't even want to. Actually, I've got a memorable journey I can tell you about if you want. The day-to-day commuter, not necessarily, but you're once in a month, or the tourists, they kind of want to have a black cab experience, don't they? And
yeah,
it's almost a cheeky, chappy, cockney cab driver kind of thing.
Yes, and also I think depends on what shift you're working. Sometimes days you don't get as many people that want to talk.
No.
Whereas you work days, you've been days since day one, and you don't do nights.
I dabbled, and I had a few. I had one particular incident that put me off.
What, a night incident?
Yeah.
What happened?
Picked a guy up, Cheapside. I was quite early into the job, 6 months. And I think I did it because you said, have a go. And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you. I didn't enjoy it going in late. I've always been an early bird anyway.
Yeah, get up early.
I didn't enjoy it. I always felt like I was the only person working, even though clearly you're not.
Yeah.
And I picked this guy up from Cheapside, suited and booted, older.
Yeah.
And he was going to South Norwood. Now, bearing in mind I'm in Harlow, that you couldn't get further. It was about 10 o'clock. And he said, what way are you going to go? And I thought, I'm not quite sure. So I said, London Bridge, straight down, something like that.
Yeah.
And he went, no, we'll go Brixton and do a left into Loughborough Road. And I thought, even in my limited South London, I thought, that seems like a long way round.
Yeah.
He then picked up the phone, and I think he was talking to his wife or his mate. He started saying, yeah, I'm having to tell the cab driver what way to go home. He ain't got a clue. But he's saying it extra loud. And previous to that, if I'd said whatever I said, if I said black, he said white. Right?
Yeah.
He weren't pissed, but he was annoying at a drink.
Yeah.
Anyway, this carried on. I got into where he wanted to go, and I'll never forget. It was £34.40, right? And he said, "I bet
That's quite cheap, isn't it?"
Well, yeah. But he said, "I bet you're glad you picked me up." And I said, "Why's that?" He said, so you knew how to get to South Norwood for the next time.
Oh, God.
So I said, no, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I picked you up, sir. I said, because if you'd gone my way, it would have been about 20 quid. But because we've gone your way, I've earned an extra 14 quid. Right? And he got proper leery. Get out of in cab, let's out. And I said, look, I've worked too hard to get my badge.
Yeah.
To get out of the cab, roll about the floor with you, sir.
Yeah.
And he carried on. I said, it'll go very wrong for you if I get out of this cab.
Yeah.
So he carried on. I said, and just one more thing, sir. I've just dropped you off at your house.
Yeah.
What's that supposed to mean? I know where you live.
Yeah.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And he carried on. And I said, look, I'm going.
Yeah.
All right?
Did he pay?
He paid.
Yeah.
So I just drove. And it was 2.5 hours from South Norwood home. And I just thought, that's the last night shift I did, apart from...
And this is the thing, isn't it? Like, incidents happen in the cab. I've had incidents at night. And you do get more difficult incidents at night because people have had a drink. But it's part of the job. And if you was a night driver and you let every incident like that affect your pattern, then you would never go to work. But obviously, we was talking about the last podcast I did with Jay. He was saying like the job doesn't feel like a job to him.
No.
It feels like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because obviously you was just saying about your previous job. And in comparison to what your job is now, like your previous job is you had to do 14-hour days. Your mum died in Cyprus. You couldn't even go to the fucking funeral. Do you know what I mean? It's heartbreaking. But now you can do whatever you like. I mean, you was telling me earlier about a job that you picked up where a guy owns a plane. I mean, and he invited you to fly a plane. I mean...
Yeah, so
it's unreal.
It's a guy I know.
Yeah.
Very loosely, but I know him. And his mate was 60 and his mate grew up round here somewhere.
Yeah.
So he said, can you do an little East London tour? So I did. And I threw in some real quirky things, like I was telling you about the London Wall and the Pelican Steps at Wapping that take you down to the Hangman's Noose by the pub.
Right.
And it blew his mind.
Yeah.
And he's a flight instructor with his own plane.
Right.
So he said, right, he paid me. He paid me well.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll repay the debt, I'll take you out on the plane. So this was Saturday just gone. I drove up to a place called Gransden, which is kind of sandy, Royston way.
Yeah.
Sat in this little plane, and I'm not little.
Yeah.
And he went, right, that's the throttle, that's the joystick. He said, if you pull the joystick back it takes off. If you pull the throttle back, it accelerates. And
Excellent.
I'm like, okay, why are you telling me this? We get onto the runway, which is a grass field.
Right.
And he went, right, push the throttle forward as fast as you can.
Yeah.
He said, at all times I will be in control, but
Yeah.
you're about to take this plane off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So I'm rattling along at, I don't know what it was, 70 mile an hour along this grass field, eased the joysticks back, and I took the plane off.
Amazing.
And
that's all through driving the cab.
Yeah, and that's
because
what
you took
said,
someone on
people.
Talking to people. I mean, you got to drive an aeroplane. You got to drive an aeroplane for free, and take over the controls of an aeroplane.
2-hour flight out to Dartford Bridge, along the Medway and then left to Southend and Canvey and back home again.
Amazing.
1,500 feet. So we was watching cricket matches down below. You was that low that you
yeah.
could see what was going on, but you was high enough that you could see right down the Thames.
Was it just you and him in the aircraft?
Yeah, and that was
It's
tight.
unreal.
Down the Thames to the City View and
Yeah.
Canary Wharf View, and then going out to the estuary. So you could see the whole Thames opening up.
Amazing.
Saw more castles and forts in 2 hours than I've seen them all my life. Half of them I didn't know. I mean, Greg knows his stuff, so he's like, that's that. It was brilliant.
And then because he felt the same about the stuff. I mean, you knew something about London Wall, which I never heard of. But
Yeah.
what? And so you took him into London Wall.
I took him.
No, you took him to Barbican.
So where Coleman Street meets London Wall,
Right.
there's a car park.
Right.
London Wall car park. It starts at the rotunda, and it kind of goes all the way to Coleman Street. But if you park at the very top of Coleman Street, where you can't, it's a dead end.
Right.
Go down there's some doors on London Wall. You go down to the basement, and you come out of the basement, turn left. You go about 6 bays. Bay 53 is London Wall.
Right.
There is a massive chunk of London Wall.
There you go.
Or not massive, but a car parking spot. So I took him down to that.
Nice.
And he'd never heard of it, and he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And it blew his mind.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what got you.
That got me a flight for 2 hours and a story on here.
Right. Okay. So next question: what's your most lucrative ride? So the biggest job you've had, and how much did it go?
I did 5 weeks ago, I did Manchester. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, you know that I've been to Manchester in the car. I don't know, obviously mention it that much, but you know about my Manchester as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got it off taxi app.
Wow.
So it was commission free. And it went 825 quid. 4 hours. And the lady I picked up did not say a word all the way there, apart from can we stop for food. Didn't even look at her phone, just looked out the window for 4.5 hours, which was quite good because even I struggled for 4.5 hours with someone I didn't know. Dropped her off, had a wee, got in the cab, come home again.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant.
825 quid.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? I know it came from taxi app, but where did you pick her up?
The Kensington Hilton on the roundabout.
Did she say why she was getting a taxi to Manchester?
It was a train strike.
Ah, yeah, of course.
And I think she's put in taxi app.
Yeah.
Because she was from Singapore.
Right.
And that's come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I spoke to you because you said something about getting paid.
Yeah.
And
Make sure.
Yeah. And she was, even though it was hard work getting the money, it was not through her being dodgy. It was just hard work getting the money through credit cards and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out well. And previous to that,
Mind-blowing.
I think the best one before that was Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Couple of hundred.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these jobs, they happen, don't they? And this is why I was like, when the electric cab first came out, I was like, how are we going to do the roaders? But obviously it worked out that this was a hybrid, so it does the job. And in the first, so I got the first one April 2018, and I think I got that job in May.
Right.
So I'd only had it 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that you could just leave it in smart mode, which you can. I put it on save mode. So I used the battery up, and then I put it on save mode. That went all the way to Manchester. I had 3 drops in Manchester. Same sort of thing. The aircraft had gone to the wrong place. So it was from Heathrow to Manchester. And it got me all the way there, 1 tank.
Right.
And then I filled up to come back.
Yeah, it's about the
So
same.
it cost me 80 quid.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah. Yeah. But the charge lasted me all the way to Oxford, and I was thinking, what do I do when the charge runs out? Oh, yeah, I put it on save mode. But I could have put it on smart, and it would have done it all for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I honestly, at that point, I didn't know.
I still don't even know if I do it right now. But it wasn't.
But that's why that Nissan didn't work out,
No.
in my opinion, because the drivers didn't have
You
any
wouldn't
faith
be
in
able
it.
to do it, would you?
They didn't have any faith in it. You wouldn't. You'd have to stick. And I think one of them said, so the drivers were asking, what about if I get a job to Manchester or what? Oh, well, just buy your customer a coffee and charge up.
Well, we stopped at Beaconsfield for the lady wanted some food, and she had to get some money out.
Yeah.
And I remember looking where I parked. All the electric bays were there.
Yeah.
And there was 4 or 5 people waiting to use the bays while people were on the bays.
Just wouldn't work, would it?
You can't say that to a customer,
No.
can you?
No.
You know, sorry, I've got...
For me, the only infrastructure in the UK that works for electric cars is Tesla, because they've got them everywhere.
Forever, yeah.
And it's only Tesla. And they built that before they built the car, because they wanted to make sure it was watertight. There was a programme on the telly last night about EVs and about where it's going. And just apparently there's one... To every one car... Sorry... There's 32 cars to one charger.
Wow.
That's the ratio at the moment.
I've never charged in town.
No.
Just the one time I tried, I couldn't find a bay, a point, and when I did, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And I'd lost like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'd rather earn 20 quid and spend 10 on
petrol
and then go home and charge.
Of course.
So that's how I run the cab.
Yeah. And that's the right way, because, you know, there's lots of people out there that will be listening to this and be going, well, I haven't got a home charger.
No.
Well, that's why you run on petrol. That's why this cab is the way it is, because it has to be, you know, flexible for everyone.
Yeah.
If it was fully EV, it'd be a nightmare.
I think so.
If it was still diesel, it wouldn't be.
And if it was fully
approved.
EV, I think you'd be out of pocket at the moment, because the street charging on EV is quite on electric.
Yeah,
quite
you're looking at
expensive.
averages of 70 pence per kilowatt, which makes a full charge of a normal car similar to what it would be to fill up in petrol.
And you get more for your petrol.
Exactly. Anyway, I have more questions. So, you had your lucrative ride. What was your most lucrative day? Now, take that one aside, because that was just one job. So I'm talking about a combination of jobs. So say you've done 20 jobs.
Yeah. Tube strike.
Right.
I left home at 5 and I got home at 10:30 p.m.
Right.
Because I just thought, it's a tube day. And you could tell.
Yeah.
And I think I did.
You proper put it in then for that.
I think I did just shy of 700 quid.
Wow.
I mean, I was cream crackered, but because then what happened was
that's hard work to get that 700
Yeah.
quid. I mean, 700 quid's a lot of money to everyone.
And
do you know what I mean?
But it's 700. It's in traffic, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, tube strike days are bananas.
Yeah.
Like it's just not that much fun at all.
No,
really.
I mean, obviously,
I'll be honest.
people,
not everything's great about driving a cab, and that's one day that ain't great.
It's not, because you're in traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, coming off the beaten track works, because people who. I mean, why people drive on a tube strike, I don't know, but they do. But what you've got is
desperation.
You've got the type of person who doesn't always get a cab, and therefore they all still think they know where they're going. Why aren't you going this way? Why don't you go that way? It's not your regular commuter. Your regular commuter will go, can we go that way?
Yeah.
Or he won't. But he's got. So it was I mean, I'm not complaining, but I remember thinking, wow, that was tough.
Yeah. How many hours is that? 5.
It was 5, so 17.
Yeah. Whoa. And how did you keep going for 17 hours? Did you have breaks?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, there's probably a lot of cab drivers that do long shifts, big shifts, regularly, and get that money anyway, because they're not stuck in so much traffic, right? And you feel on a tube strike day, you feel like you have to work, don't you? Because you want to make sure your customers get in there because you care about
and also,
it.
you know that the money's out there. I don't think you could earn that kind of money on a normal day, even if you did 17 hours. I think you've got to be very, very lucky.
Do you know what? I disagree with that. I think you can. I think if you're working them sort of hours, you will get that money in. The way the way the game is at the moment, I think you would. And I've got mates that do that sort of money regularly.
I don't know, but I took breaks. I find when I'm working, I'm all right.
Yeah,
it's when I stop. So if I clock off at, say, Rotherhithe Tunnel, I'm fine. And then as I start driving home, it's almost like subconsciously I shut down.
You get tired.
And then I get tired.
Yeah.
But while I'm working, if I'm working, I'm fine.
Another question I just thought of now. it's going to be new in my list now. If it was taken away from you tomorrow, i.e. the cab badge, what would you do?
Cry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd find a job, but
I know.
I don't know what I'd do.
You don't have a feeling of, I would like to do this.
No.
You just want to be. That's your game. That's your trade now.
I will be unless something stops me.
Yeah.
I will be a cab driver now until I stop work.
Yeah.
During lockdown, I got asked. One of my mates is quite high up at Tesco's.
Yeah.
And he said, "Come over." He run a couple of warehouses down in Raynham. He said, "Come over, I'll get you in."
Yeah.
And I had to walk round, and I'd done a lot of warehouse work. I was a warehouse manager.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Look, it's £10 an hour. You do this, you do this." And he said, "You're better than this." And I just thought, I couldn't do this.
No.
You know, I'm not saying I'm better than that because
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
And I would have done it, but I just thought for £10 an hour, I'll take my chances
In the cab.
in the cab.
Yeah,
and
you did. And you did. I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it worked.
And then we got the contract. We
Yeah.
talked about it on another podcast,
Yeah.
but we got the contract and all that. And
it was all right. But yeah, I can't see myself ever not driving a cab.
yeah, no, that's nice to hear actually, because it gives people hope. I mean, you know, it's a tough job, but a lot of people love it, and you're one of the ones that does. Who do you think is the next generation of cab drivers? You know, we're struggling on numbers.
Yeah.
So who do you think's the next generation of cab drivers?
I don't know. I've got an 18-year-old son,
Right.
and he's got a job now in Cheshunt, but
Right.
about that far from the knowledge school.
What, our old one where we used to go? Oh, yeah.
At Turnford Court.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we had the conversation,
Okay.
and I don't know where I said to him, right, I'll help you if you want to do it, but, and I think the problem is, I'm sure it hasn't changed from 30 years ago. The game's dead. This, and this. But it's kind of changing. You've got your LTNs, you've got your knowledge. I know it's all going through changes at the moment, but kids of nowadays want it now, don't they?
That's the thing, isn't it?
They
don't want to. You don't like. They do degrees and things like that, don't they? But if they don't get the degree, like for instance, your son has not gone to university, has he? So, you know, this could be a good option for him.
Oh, he's done well. Yeah, I mean, he's actually fallen on his feet really well, and he's got university involved in what he does.
Yeah,
I think one of the problems with the knowledge is if you sit down, if you want to be an accountant, you do a 5-year course, or for example, and you do X amount of exams, and if you pass, you have to pass to move forward.
Yeah,
with the knowledge, because it's not set in stone, as it were. It's a
not
score
contained.
No, so you know, I'm talking about Mr. Whitehead. He was fair, but there had been instances where if an examiner didn't like you or wasn't in a good mood, I never particularly felt this, you couldn't have not scored on a minor point.
Technicality, and the thing is, I don't think that's necessarily the examiner's fault.
No
it's the
problem.
system's fault.
Yeah,
they're allowed to be a maverick. They're allowed to have their own bank of questions that they want to ask, and they can chuck in a curveball whenever they want.
Yeah,
that shouldn't. I don't think that should be a thing they're allowed to do. However, when it's so easy to get a license doing something very similar, that is a problem as well.
Yeah. And that's your instant. That's your instant, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what we just said. People want things now, and they're not.
That's right.
You know, I know that's a bit of a stereotype, but it's very difficult to stand there with a blank sheet or a blank anything and say, right, in 4 years' time, you may be a cab driver.
Yes,
you may not.
You may not. You might go back down to the start.
Yeah,
it's like this snake. We've talked about it loads. Snakes and ladders.
Snakes and ladders.
That can't go on.
Well, also, 18 months, 2 years, you're on your own. You're doing it literally for nothing, and you don't know where you are.
Who's funding it?
Yeah, you are.
You are.
And you don't know, until you do the map test, you don't know if you're good enough or not.
No. But then who should fund it for you? Should anyone fund it for you? Not necessarily.
Possibly not, no. I don't necessarily think they should. I mean, I didn't, personally, it was petrol money and that was it.
Yeah. But it was your time. It was your time, your family's time.
Yeah.
I mean, your son is 18, right? He's not allowed to drive a cab till he's 21 anyway.
No.
So it could be the ideal time to do it, because by the time he's done it all, he's ready to go. But then he's got to get insurance on a taxi, which is doable. You can do it. But, you know,
I mean, he sees me, and I come home, and I'm never, I might be a bit grumpy, but I'm never, I've got to go to work today and all that. He sees that I love the job.
Yeah.
So he sees that kind of the side of it. And, like he said to me today, do you want to play golf this afternoon? I said, yeah, all right, I should be home at 5.
Yeah.
Bosh.
What, in this weather?
Well, it was supposed to be sunny.
Yeah. And don't forget, this is now August the 1st, and we've got rain hammering down on us. That's sad.
It's the freedom, isn't it? You might get onto it in a minute, but how many jobs where if you don't want to go to work, I went and saw a comedian on Thursday night. We got home late.
Yeah.
I didn't go to work Friday.
No.
I'll make it up.
Yeah, of course you will. And listen, there's no difference in that. See, you could say the same about the private hire industry. You don't have to go to work. But with the cab industry, the difference is your work can come from all different parts. So you get it from the rank, you get it from apps, but you're also getting it off the street.
Yeah.
And still got access to bus lanes. I do think we should have access to all bus lanes.
Yeah.
And I think most cab drivers would agree with that.
Of course.
But there's a lot more to it. Yes, our expenses are high, but so it is. I think if you want to rent a decent car as a private hire driver now, you're looking at £280 to £300 a week.
Right.
And you're getting 30% taken out of your one app. You might be riding for a few apps, but we can, our stations are banged out at the moment. We want to keep them, So yeah.
But I've never looked. I don't know if I'm not trying to sound holier than that, but I've never looked at the expenses.
No.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. And the way I look at it is at the end of the week, or definitely at the end of the month, I'm where I want to be.
Yeah.
Now, I might have to throw a couple of Saturdays in, but that's not because of the expense. The expenses are that.
Yeah.
And I know they're that.
Yeah.
And they've always probably been that in comparison.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the thing that we've got that they haven't, which is another big plus in my opinion, is we've got the meter. And the meter has got an index to it, and it goes up as expenses go up. Maybe it's not at the level it should be,
but that can
that's
also
a very big
but that
plus
can also
to do
go
being
against you sometimes. I think.
In what way?
Well, people think, look how much, £10, we've only done.
Yeah, there is this thing about the meter moving quicker when it's in traffic, which it doesn't.
No, I know, but you've got to have that conversation.
Let's be clear, it doesn't.
No. Or
it goes quicker when you're moving, right?
Or you're going the long way.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going a long way for £2. Look,
yeah,
mate,
yeah.
I'd rather get you out
at
£15 and then earn another £15.
Well, that's right. And but listen, most people that get in our cabs can afford the meter.
Yeah.
And this is where we are. And this is the good thing about if you're going to be that if you're considering doing the knowledge that you've got that protection. Everything's priced into that meter. And that's why I always tell my customers, like when they go, one of the questions you always hear is, how's things going with Uber? Well, I don't want to talk about it really. I'm not being rude, but safety's priced into our meter. It's not priced into their meter because they do have a meter. Let's be clear.
I just say, I'll say we're winning.
Yeah,
we're winning.
Yeah, we are.
We're busy. We're and you have the conversation, the safety aspect. I never go down the this has happened and that's happened unless they bring it up.
Never.
But I just say you get what you pay for. If you want a cheap shirt, you go to Primark. If you want a proper shirt, you go to German Street, and we're kind of somewhere in between that, I think. I mean, it's never going to be a perfect job, but it's what you make it.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, and my previous guest said the same thing. He doesn't fear going to work. He wants to go to work. Yeah. He's happy to go. He's ready to go. Yeah. And every day's different. You're always meeting someone different. You're always meeting someone new. There's always incidents that make you laugh. There's always incidents that make you angry. It's just there's things that it's always going off.
And I never have that Sunday night feeling.
No.
Where I'm sitting there thinking,
Monday.
Right? It's Monday and I've got to go. I get up early, as we said. So getting from bed to cab is not easy. But once I'm in the cab, I put on a podcast or an audio book.
Hopefully R1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I listen, especially this one, I'll have it on repeat. And I just listen to stuff going into work, and next thing you know, you're in work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I very, very rarely go,
I've got to go in again. Because I always find that strange when people complain about the job. I mean, I think a lot of people that have been doing the job 20, 30, 40 years, I think they'd be like that in any job.
I think the people who've been doing it for a long time maybe forget what a great job it is.
Yes.
And forget that in a proper job, you got to clock in. You got to have a holiday.
I've seen that, you know. I've had drivers gone off that they've gone back to old jobs and they've come back.
Yeah.
And they ring you and they go, "Oh, have you got a cab?" And I'm like, "I thought you'd left the game." No, I'm coming back. I didn't realise, you know, what it'd be like working for someone. I had a guy that gave me notice, and he'll probably be listening and be laughing. He gave me notice on the cab, and it was a week before he was supposed to give the cab up, and he's gone. Yeah, I started the job and I kept the cab for a couple of weeks and then realised there's no way I'm going to work for anyone ever again. Yeah. He said, "Is it all right if I carry on?" I said, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
You know.
I think you just... Because what was I? 7 years. So I was 48 when I started.
Yeah.
So I had 30 years of proper jobs.
Yeah.
Can I have the day off? Can I go to a funeral? Can I this? Can I that? And so
what planet does someone live on who's managing a workforce where their worker... their employee or their subcontractor, because you're not even an employee, right? They come up and they say, I need to go to my mother's funeral and won't give you that time off.
What they do,
ludicrous.
They bully you, right? So I said, I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, with plenty of expletives, right?
Yeah.
So it was a Friday.
Yeah.
So I went on the Friday. I went back to work on the Monday. I think it was a Tuesday. I think there was a bank holiday involved.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, Mark, everything go all right?" But on the Thursday, they were going, "Well, we can't guarantee your job will still be here when you come back." But I was just,
wow,
do your best.
Wow.
Now, if 10 people do that and 6 of them fold, then they've got what they wanted, haven't they? I mean,
yep.
And, you know, I've spoke to people in the cab and basically what they were doing was borderline illegal, underhand. And now with the rule changes with Uber and that, they've changed how they do it, but it's...
Oh, yeah, These
but that's another story. They're doing things a little bit differently.
Appeal, isn't it? You appeal and you get away with it. That's how they do it, isn't it?
And you carry on while you're getting away with it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. Final question, and this is the most important question, and the most important question you're ever going to get asked, ever, in your life.
Right.
What's your favourite biscuit?
Custard cream.
Weird. Why?
Don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You must have a reason.
Well, I like it.
And that's it.
2 flavours in one.
Why is so many? It must be the most popular biscuit out there.
Well, there you go.
So many people say it.
I haven't had a chance to think about it. I mean...
Because it used to be one of my best chat-up lines.
Right.
Yeah. And so many women would always say custard creams.
Or chocolate digestive.
And why?
Because I like them.
What about if it's a special occasion? If you got you got...
What, the Christmas tin out?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're called. Because Zoe will look at the menu, as it were. I'll just eat them.
Oh,
Sometimes
nice.
she's got the menu out. There's half of them are gone. That one's gone.
Lovely. All right. Well, that's been brilliant. And you're old enough to remember This Is Your Life.
Yeah.
What colour was the book?
Red.
What colour's our book?
Blue.
Right. So there you go, Mark. This is your life, Mark Harvey. This is your life.
Thank you very much.
There's your blue book.
None of my mates turned up.
Right. Wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Show the blue book to the camera. Right. So that is your blue book. I don't know if you and can you remember a run out of it?
No.
Not one.
Probably the first one.
Right. Could you call it?
Leave on left, Manor House, forward Green Lanes, right and right Highbury New Park.
Very good.
Left onto, left onto New Park Road or right onto
Highbury New Park?
Yeah. Right onto St Paul's Road.
No, it's left, isn't it? So right and right Highbury New Park, left
New Park.
Highbury Park, isn't it?
Yeah. Right onto St Paul's Road.
Yes.
Comply Highbury Corner.
Very good.
Leave by Upper Street.
Is it Comply Highbury Corner now?
I don't know now. It was
now
when
go
I
on,
did
keep going.
Right onto Upper Street.
Left. Leave by Upper Street.
Yeah. So you bear left. You don't call that. Then you do a right into Barnsbury Street, I think.
Could be.
Left into Milner Square.
Yeah.
Leave Milner Square, forward into Gibson Square.
Good.
Did I score? But honestly...
That was terrible, and I think you would probably have got 0 for that.
But, you think you used to call, like with Thomas, you used to call Golders Green down to Greenwich.
Yeah.
And bang, you could call it.
I remember getting a question. No, I don't think I actually got this question, but I remember Mr. Wilkin used to ask Alexandra Palace to Crystal Palace, and I could just go bang, and I'd
Yeah.
go brrr, like a shotgun,
or
machine
Orient
gun.
Football
Sorry,
Club to Fulham Football Club.
yeah, brrr, and you can
Yeah.
now try and do it. You just can't. But the whole point, in my opinion, of the knowledge is not that you're going to remember how to call these runs. It's how your direction.
Yeah.
So when you come out of here and someone flags you on Commercial Road and says, I want to go to Marylebone Road, you know exactly what direction they're going. That's all it's supposed to teach you.
Yeah.
Or you get in a private hire and they'll go, and you'll go, Paddington Station, they'll go, oh, can I have the postcode?
Yeah.
You'll be like, what?
The hardest part is that first 100 metres.
Yeah.
And then once you and you get the dreaded, what way are you going?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of tricks you do, and they're like, is when they ask you so-and-so street, is that the one in Fulham? And they go, no, it's the one in Tottenham. You're like, oh, I'm right. I didn't know there was one in Fulham. You're like,
That's
no,
good.
There weren't, but at least I'm going the right way now.
We're done.